7 phrases that create abundance, aligned with Proverbs 4:23. There are days when the weight of life seems to steal our peace. The mind screams, the body tires, and the heart, silent, accumulates what has not been said. It is in this silence that destiny is shaped, because the heart is not just an organ, it is a spiritual field of creation. Everything you experience begins with what you feel, and what you feel is what you hold on to. The Spirit taught me something. Not every thought deserves a place within me. Many want to prosper, but harbor within themselves memories, guilt, and resentment that vibrate with scarcity. And the heart, when contaminated, blocks the flow of abundance. Therefore, the first act of wealth is a emotional cleansing, not a material achievement. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Declare with me, I only keep what I want to experience. The rest I let go. This is the first vibrational key. Every time you say this, you reset the contents of your inner vault. You become selective with your emotions and begin to attract what you truly want to experience. Guarding your heart is like managing a treasure. You decide what goes in and what goes out. If you think about wealth, vibrate wealth, and live wealth, the universe responds. I think wealth. I vibrate wealth. I live in wealth. This statement represents the harmony between mind, emotion, and action, the triad of divine manifestation. And then comes the revelation. Your heart is your most powerful treasure. No bank, company, or investment can surpass the power of a pure heart guided by faith. It is within you that the codes of abundance unlock. My heart is my most powerful treasure. When you understand this, prosperity ceases to be a pursuit and becomes a reality. Prosperity is a feeling that lives within me. It doesn't come from the outside, it blossoms from within. And everything that blossoms in the spirit sooner or later materializes in the physical world. Therefore, today's call is simple and profound. Guard your heart with wisdom. Choose what resonates within you, because life is a reflection of what you feel. I take care of what I feel, and that changes my life. If you understand this truth, you've already taken the first step towards unwavering prosperity. Prosperity doesn't begin with work or effort. It begins not feeling. The heart is the altar where realities are consecrated before becoming matter. What you truly feel, heaven confirms. And that is why the enemy always tries to wound the heart, because he knows that if he dominates your feelings, he blocks your flow. There are people who declare prosperity, but feel fear. They say they have faith, but vibrate with doubt. And the universe, obedient to vibration, responds not to words, but to the emotion that accompanies them. That's why transformation begins when you align feeling and faith, when what you feel confirms what you believe. Where gratitude dwells, wealth enters, and that's how I live. This is the key to the invisible door. Gratitude is the frequency of abundance. When you give thanks before receiving, you already vibrate as if you already have. And the spiritual world understands. He already has it. It is at this moment that the manifestation occurs, because the feeling has already been planted like a seed in the field of the heart. The Spirit showed me that many do not prosper because they still live as those who ask, and not as those who already possess. When you live in gratitude, you become a magnet for what is good. Money, opportunities, and the right people are naturally attracted, because your heart stops begging and begins to reign. I attract what I feel, and I choose to feel abundant. This statement is not a motivational phrase. It's a vibrational decree. Feeling is the signature of your faith. When you choose to feel abundant, you change the energy field around you, and the invisible begins to reorganize itself to confirm your choice. Prosperity, then, ceases to be a destination and becomes a state of consciousness. You no longer chase after what you need, because you begin to attract what recognizes you. Everything that is yours, by divine inheritance, begins to find you. And it all begins in the heart that has decided to feel differently. Today, he declares with authority, My world changes because I cultivate the best within myself. This is the 8th key, the seal that closes the affirmative cycle. The outside world bows before a heart aligned with faith and gratitude. And when you guard your heart, you guard the source of all your abundance. Everything you see today was born somewhere invisible, in the realm of feeling, in the sacred ground of the heart. The heart is the first altar of creation, the place where God sows ideas, visions, and promises. It is there that dreams take shape before becoming reality. When you understand this, you realize that there are no limits for those who cultivate their inner selves with faith and intention. The Spirit once told me, "What you nourish in your heart grows in the world. If you cultivate fear, it multiplies. If you cultivate faith, it expands." Everything that vibrates within you is a seed planted in the spiritual field, and the universe is merely the mirror that reflects back what you have sown. Therefore, guarding your heart is protecting your garden of creation. Every emotion is a silent prayer. Every repeated thought is a vibrational request. You may say you trust in God, but if your heart is full of anxiety, it is anxiety that you are nurturing. When the heart is at peace, God's creative power flows freely. It is at this point that doors open effortlessly, and the impossible becomes natural. When you awaken to this understanding, you begin to make better choices about what you feel, not because you're denying pain, but because you understand that it cannot be the center of your creative field. The heart was not made to be a repository of fear. It is a dwelling place of light. It is there that the Holy Spirit dwells, generating direction, peace, and prosperity. Abundance is the result of a heart in harmony. When the inner self vibrates with order, the outer world responds with opportunities. Work flows, ideas come, the right people appear. It's not luck, it's harmony. It's the heart aligned with divine purpose, generating visible fruits from an invisible root. Therefore, take care of what you feel. Observe what your heart produces when no one is watching. If there is restlessness, surrender it. If there is sadness, transform it into prayer. If there is doubt, replace it with gratitude. Each internal adjustment is a spiritual reconfiguration of your field of creation. And today, heaven invites you to a silent pact. Guard your heart as one protects a treasure, for from it flow the sources of your life, your health, your joy, your prosperity. Everything begins there, in the invisible. And whoever understands this law begins to manifest miracles, where before they only saw lack. Gratitude is the vibration that opens portals. It's not just a nice feeling. It's a spiritual frequency that communicates to the universe that you recognize the flow of life. When you give thanks, even before seeing the result, you enter the vibration of one who already possesses. And in that vibration, the invisible moves, the heavens respond, and matter obeys. Many pray for more, but few give thanks for what they already have. And the Spirit taught me, those who are not grateful for the little they have, close the door to the much they desire, because gratitude is the seal that confirms your confidence. When you say, "Thank you," while waiting, you show that you believe what is to come is already certain. It is this invisible act that changes your energy field and begins to attract prosperity. When the heart vibrates with gratitude, scarcity loses its power. The mind calms, the body relaxes, and the spirit aligns with the flow of divine abundance. Where gratitude dwells, wealth enters, and that's how I live. This phrase is more than a mantra. It's a spiritual password. Where there is gratitude, there is no blockage. Where there is recognition, there is multiplication. Gratitude is an ancient spiritual technology. It is the language of those who have already understood that creation is sustained by the vibration of love. When you wake up and give thanks for the air, your home, your health, and even your challenges, you are expanding your capacity to receive, and God can only fill a heart that remains open. The Spirit showed me that many want to prosper, but carry within themselves a constant complaint. and complaint is a noise that interferes with the frequency of blessing. When you exchange complaint for gratitude, you change your spiritual station and begin to hear the voice of abundance. It is in this new attunement that paths open and favor finds you. Gratitude is faith in action. It's saying, even without seeing, I already celebrate what is to come. When you do this, circumstances cease to control your inner state. The power shifts. It moves from the outside and returns to your heart. And at that point, prosperity ceases to be a pursuit and becomes a natural expression of your being. So today, say this vibrational prayer. I am grateful for everything that was, for everything that is, and for everything that is yet to come. Because my heart lives in gratitude and abundance recognizes me. This is the frequency of prosperity, simple, silent, and invincible. Where gratitude dwells, God dwells, and where God dwells, nothing is lacking. Abundance does not manifest in polluted hearts. The heart is like a mirror. It reflects what it carries. If there is anger, the reflection is scarcity. If there is peace, the reflection is prosperity. Emotional purity is the foundation of clean creation. It is the state in which the heart becomes a free channel, ready to receive and multiply what comes from above. The Spirit revealed to me that many block their own prosperity without realizing it. They hold on to old grudges, hidden resentments, and silent comparisons. Each unresolved emotion is a stone thrown into the river of abundance. The water tries to flow, but encounters invisible obstacles. And God doesn't want to see you trapped in past emotions. He wants to see you free to live the new. Cleansing the heart isn't about forgetting. It's about healing. It's about choosing to let go of what no longer serves you. I only keep what I want to experience. The rest I let go. This affirmation is a key to liberation. When you repeat it truthfully, your heart understands that it no longer needs to carry old pains to feel safe, and prosperity finds space to dwell within it. Emotional purity is not the absence of feeling, but the presence of awareness. It's when you feel everything, but decide what stays. It's when pain comes, and you bless it, understanding that it came to teach, not to remain. It is this spiritual intelligence that separates those who merely survive from those who truly thrive. I take care of what I feel, and that changes my life. This is the practice of daily purity. You observe your emotions, bless those that uplift you, and release those that weigh you down. This is not weakness, it is power. Because whoever masters their inner self becomes unshakable in the face of the outside world. And this mastery creates a field of clean energy, where divine favor can move without resistance. When the heart is pure, life reorganizes itself. People leave, doors open, the new arrives. It's not a coincidence, it's a vibrational correspondence. The universe understands that you are ready to receive because your inner self is already at peace, and nothing is more magnetic than peace. Today, make this silent commitment to cleanse your heart as one cleanses the temple where God dwells. Each act of forgiveness is an open window. Each tear shed is a portal unlocked, because purity is not weakness, it is spiritual strength in its highest form. And whoever lives in purity lives in abundance. Everything that manifests on earth arises from the harmony between three forces: faith, emotion, and action. When one of them is misaligned, creation weakens. Faith without emotion is theory. Emotion without faith is instability. Action without both is empty effort. But when faith, emotion, and action vibrate at the same frequency, the invisible bends, and what was a dream becomes reality. Faith is the divine spark, emotion, the fuel, and action, the gesture that seals the agreement with heaven. The Spirit showed me that many believe with their mouths, but feel the opposite in their hearts. And that's where manifestation stalls, because the universe responds to vibration, not just prayer. When the heart vibrates with faith, everything begins to align in silence. I think wealth, I vibrate wealth. I live wealth. This statement is not just a phrase. It's a powerful triad. To think is to activate faith. To vibrate is to engage feeling. To live is to put faith into action. This is the rhythm of spiritual creation. What you think, feel, and do becomes the seed of your tomorrow. The secret lies in maintaining consistency. When you say, "I believe," but act out of fear, your heart becomes confused. But when you feel faith pulsing, even amidst uncertainty, reality begins to bend to your conviction. Because the spiritual world recognizes consistency as truth, and truth has the power to attract. Emotion is the language of the universe. Therefore, it's not enough to repeat. You have to feel it. When you declare prosperity and let your heart vibrate as if you already live in it, the energy field around you reprograms itself. And this reprogramming is perceived by time, by people, and even by opportunities. Action is confirmation. Every step, every decision, every choice driven by faith is a spiritual signature that confirms, "I believe in what God has shown me." It is at this point that faith ceases to be expectation and becomes experience. And emotion, which was previously just energy, is transformed into matter. Today, the Spirit calls you to align these three forces within you: faith, emotion, and action, like a three-stranded cord that time cannot break. Because when the heart, mind, and hands are in harmony, the impossible becomes natural, and all that is yours, by divine inheritance, begins to recognize you on your path. There are times when the greatest act of faith is silence, when the mind craves answers and the heart feels restless. It is at that point that God speaks loudest, not in volume, but in vibration. The silence of the heart is not the absence of sound, but the presence of listening. It is the state where the soul stops shouting and begins to hear the movement of the Spirit. Many lose their way because they try to understand with their minds what can only be discerned with the heart. Prosperity is not just a strategic plan. It is a spiritual path revealed in silence. The Holy Spirit does not compete with the noise of worries. He whispers in the space where anxiety subsides and trust flourishes. When you guard your heart, you learn to listen. And in listening, direction comes. The Spirit taught me that those who are constantly chasing control lose sight of their purpose, but those who learn to rest in God's timing begin to perceive hidden opportunities. Silence is the language of those who trust. It is not passivity, it is pure faith. My heart is my most powerful treasure. In silence, you access that treasure chest. Inside are the instructions, the ideas, the plans that heaven wishes to manifest through you. But the Spirit only reveals where there is stillness, because the restless heart cannot discern the gold from illusion. Therefore, the secret is not to do more, it is to align yourself more. The silence of the heart also heals. It reorganizes the emotional field, restores energy, and renews faith. While the world talks about haste, God works in processes. And it is in the interval between the request and the response that He builds the spiritual maturity of those who will know how to sustain what they have asked for. To quiet down is to say, "I trust in divine wisdom, even when I don't understand the way." This is the turning point of all lasting prosperity, the instant when the heart stops reacting and begins to create. Because silence is not emptiness. It is the womb where new directions, new ideas, and new miracles are born. Today, the sky invites you to take a conscious pause. Breathe, feel, listen. Between one thought and another, there is a space where God dwells. It is there that the invisible reorganizes itself, and your life begins to change effortlessly. Because the voice that creates the future speaks softly, and only the guarded heart is able to hear it. True wealth isn't about possessing, it's about express. She is the visible result of a heart aligned with purpose. When you understand that you were born to serve, bless, and multiply, prosperity ceases to be an end and becomes a flow. The Spirit showed me that abundance is the language of purpose. It speaks loudly through those who live on a mission. Many seek prosperity simply to prove something to the world, but those who guard their hearts understand. Wealth is not a trophy, it's a tool. Gold, in the hands of those with purpose, transforms into a seed, because purpose gives direction to the resource, and the resource amplifies the purpose. This is the divine dance between heaven and earth, giving and receiving in perfect harmony. When you nurture your heart, God trusts you more. He knows that abundance won't distance you, but rather draw you closer to Him. That's why spiritual prosperity comes before financial prosperity. It's within that He tests your faithfulness, your love, and your vision. When your heart passes this test, favor reaches you without resistance. Prosperity is a feeling that lives within me. This is the revelation. Prosperity is an inner state that manifests externally. When you feel prosperous, even if you don't see anything, the spiritual field aligns to confirm your vibration, because emotion and purpose together create the frequency of divine abundance. God's wealth doesn't breed pride, it breeds expansion. It makes you generous, conscious, and useful. When you prosper in purpose, you understand that money isn't the center, it's the means. And the more you give with love, the more life returns to you multiplied. The flow only stops when the heart closes. The Spirit wants to remind you, money doesn't make you prosperous, purpose does. Because true abundance is waking up knowing that what you do changes lives, heals stories, honors heaven. That's what magnetizes provision, a heart willing to serve. Wealth is the echo of faithful service. Today, make this declaration with faith. I thrive in purpose. I serve with love, and favor recognizes me. This is the pact of the guarded heart, the pact of those who do not seek wealth, but become a channel for it. Because prosperity is the visible testimony of those who live in alignment with the divine. Abundance is not something you achieve, it's something you create, recognizes. From the beginning, God created you whole, complete, and provided for. The problem is that the mind, disconnected from faith, has learned to see lack. But the spiritual heart knows nothing is lacking for those who are aligned with the whole. Abundance is the natural state of those who live in communion with the Source. The Spirit revealed to me that human beings were not made to survive, but to expand. When the heart vibrates with abundance, it stops competing and begins to create. And what once seemed impossible begins to happen fluidly. Because abundance doesn't depend on effort, it depends on frequency. And that frequency is born from feeling. I attract what I feel, and I choose to feel abundant. This phrase is about reprogramming the spiritual field. You don't attract through desire, but through vibration. When you choose to feel abundant, even without external signs, you enter the reality of faith. And in that reality, time bends, doors move, and miracles become routine. Scarcity is always an emotional illusion. It's the heart disconnected from the source, trying to survive with what's left. But when you turn inward, you feel God's presence pulsing, and realize there has always been more than enough. Abundance is the recognition of that more within you. The Spirit taught me. Abundance is a reflection of confidence. When you trust, you relax. And when you relax, the flow resumes. Fear blocks, anxiety interrupts, but faith liberates. Therefore, the secret is not to chase after it, but to allow abundance to reach you while you vibrate in love and gratitude. Everything that is natural flows. The tree doesn't force its fruit. The river doesn't force its course. The sun doesn't force its brightness. Similarly, the spiritual being doesn't force prosperity. It simply vibrates within it. That's why Jesus said, "Seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added to you." The kingdom is the inner state of conscious abundance. Today, allow yourself to remember, you are part of the source, and the source is infinite. When the heart vibrates with love, the universe responds with multiplication. When it vibrates with fear, the universe merely reflects closure. Therefore, open yourself, feel, live. Abundance isn't coming. It's already within you, waiting for your vibrational yes. Everything begins and ends in the heart. It is the point of origin and the ultimate mirror of your reality. When the heart is wounded, the world seems out of balance. But when the heart is guarded, the universe reorganizes itself around your peace. The Spirit revealed to me that the external world is merely a projection of the internal world, and that is why guarding the heart is guarding destiny. Each healed emotion creates a new landscape around you. Each cleared thought opens a new door. A guarded heart is like a fertile field where God plants miracles. And when you remain vigilant about what you feel, you begin to perceive life responding with synchronicities, encounters, and opportunities that previously seemed impossible. That is the power of a guarded heart. It not only protects, it creates. My heart is my most powerful treasure. There lies stored your codes of prosperity, your gifts, and the calling that heaven has entrusted to you. When the heart is at peace, the mind clears, faith expands, and your vibration becomes a creative order in the spiritual realm. I think wealth. I vibrate wealth. I live wealth. This is the frequency of someone who understands that prosperity is not a struggle. It's a reminder. You simply return to being who you were before the fear, before the scarcity, before the doubt, because abundance has always existed within you. Guarding your heart is, in fact, remembering who you are. Prosperity is a feeling that lives within me, and when that feeling takes hold, the outside world begins to obey. Everything that was blocked begins to flow. Everything that was distant begins to draw closer. The guarded heart is the seed of the new world, the world where your faith dictates the rhythm of your reality. Therefore, he declares in a firm voice, "My world changes because I cultivate the best within myself." This is the 8th key, the final seal, the password to the awakened heart. When you choose to cultivate the best, all that is good recognizes you. Abundance, peace, love, and favor become the natural response of those who vibrate with gratitude and purpose. Today, make this moment a covenant. Touch your chest, take a deep breath, and say with faith, "I guard my heart. I vibrate with faith. I manifest abundance." And so, the invisible begins to move, because heaven responds to guarded hearts, and your new world has already begun within you.